First step is going to be to remove the transmission splash shield. You can use a screwdriver or a trim puller to remove these two. These screws back here are going to be a T20 on your car. This car is a little special. It has some custom hardware. And then up here, you should have just these quarter turn Phillips fasteners. 1, 2, 3. We're going to support the back end of the transmission now. Undo the 4 M12 triple square bolts that are holding the transmission support bracket. Slowly lower the back end of the transmission, and you're going to want to watch for clearance issues here between your X-brace and the trans, and then also between the front diff housing and the subframe. We're going to remove the 13mm nut holding the linkage to the transmission. We're going to remove the bolt holding the slave cylinder in to get us some room. This is a M10 triple square. Now pull out on the back of the slave cylinder to move it off of the standoff. And then you'll be able to pull it back and out of the transmission. Now we're going to pry the linkage off of the selector shaft. Now we need to remove the cross rod bolt. So we're going to give the transmission a big bear hug from the bottom. So with your right hand, you're going to come up between the downpipe and the transmission. And with your left hand, you're going to go up through the same area, go across on top of the cross rod with a 13mm wrench. Alright, so now I have the linkage out on the bench here. You're going to be doing this all under the car, but I just wanted to show it. So first we're going to remove the cross rod from the linkage. In order to do that, there's a retaining clip you have to pull back here. Pull that with a screwdriver or a pick like this, and then you can just pull it up and off, and then pull the little seat off of it. Now we're going to remove the spline section that goes onto the selector shaft. This is there's 2 T20 torque screws here. You're going to be able to pull the whole thing out at once. And then take the seat off of the ball. And we're going to replace our OEM squishy rubber seat with our new 2-piece billet aluminum seat. First thing you're going to do is grease these. So open up your packet of lube. Just get a good amount of grease in there. Can't really put too much. Now we're going to place these around the ball. Orientation doesn't matter too much. Then we're going to push this back in. Reattach the dust boot. Make sure to pull this boot back so that you're not getting it caught in the screw. I want to keep all that grease in there and all the dirt out. Alright, now we're going to attach the cross rod to the linkage. You can either lube up the ball or lube up the inside of the socket or both. And then I recommend just leave these bolts pretty loose so you can just slip this over the or over the ball, and then tighten them up. Good idea to use Loctite on these bolts. So we'll remove our cross rod. You can actually, there's an access hole here to get at this clip. So you put a pick in here and pull this retaining clip out. And you'll be able to pull the cross rod off, pull this seat off there. We're going to use our T20. Got a broken dust boot on this one. As far as I know, you cannot buy another one of these dust boots. It has a part number on it, but I assume you have to buy a new linkage to get it. And we're just going to pull the ball out of the socket here. We're going to grease up our ball here. Or you can grease up the socket, whichever you prefer. Make sure this stays really clean. If there's dirt in there, definitely clean it off well, because any grit in there is going to shorten the lifespan. Make sure you're not getting stuck on the dust boot. Now we're going to install the new cross rod. Make sure you put this end on the top of the transmission, or else you're never going to get it up there. So feed it up. You can kind of feed it towards the back, kind of put it right on top of the linkage, and you'll be able to get it up there at the end. Make sure you put Loctite on these bolts. Now we're going to put the linkage back onto the selector shaft. There is a flat spot in the splines here, so there is only one way to put this on, and you will need to have the linkage rotated fore aft to the correct position, or else this will not go on. This may be one of the more difficult parts of the job, is getting this all lined up right and getting it on. Yep. I was able to shift it just now, so that's a good sign that I got it started. And then you're going to finish it just by putting the nut on the end and tightening the nut. Now we're going to put our slave cylinder back in. Make sure to feed it straight into the transmission, and it needs to seat, the tip of it will need to seat into the clutch fork. If you don't do this, you're going to have a bad day. So you should be able to feel it when you push it in a little bit and you're kind of pinching the boot up here. You should be able to feel that you can't move the tip of it up and down. If that's the case, then you're into the clutch fork. If you can move it up and down, you need to back it out and try again. Then push it forward. Put it on this lip here.